People always tell me like this park is way too busy, it's too crowded, I don't want to go there. Look at, there's not a single soul here. It's 9 a.m. So the problem really is the people showing up at the same time, not the park. So this is a topic I've discussed with my friends, some which are professional skateboarders, is when do skateboarders retire? Like when do professional skateboarders retire? I can only think of one professional skateboarder that's ever done it in a really honorable way, and that is Heath Kirchart. I believe he retired so he could make more room on the America salary for up and coming professional skaters. And I thought that was like a really honorable way to do it. However, I really can't think of any other skateboarders that are retiring with that same integrity. Up on the frontside Smith. I really want to get that front Smith on the ledges. For some reason, it's been really fun lately, but yeah, not a pro skater. That's a clear sign of it right there. I'm walking away after like 6 tries. Now, the reason I think this is important is because we are at a new generation of skateboarders, and some of the very first professional skateboarders are still professional because skateboarding is a fairly new industry in general. It's pretty rare to hear about professional skateboarders retiring willingly. So willingly retiring, not because they got injured or because they couldn't skate anymore, but like willingly deciding to drop their name off a board or off shoes or whatever it is so they can make more room for future skateboarders. That just isn't something that we hear about besides the Heath Kirchart example. I think it's pretty fair to say there is no exit plan for professional skateboarding. Like there is no 401k, there is no retirement package after you're done. None of that exists. There is no after professional skateboarding exit plan. And once you get cut from your professional royalties, whether that be from board sales, shoe sales, whatever it is, you're back to finding a whole new career from scratch. Now, there are skateboarders that find a role behind the scenes of skateboarding and can kind of find a position or career with that. The thing that happens there, a lot of problems what happens is like those skaters can't hold that position. A lot of times that can be hard for skateboarders because it does have requirements or certain things you have to do for those roles, and it's dwindling down because those responsibilities can be pretty hard. Like being a brand manager isn't just knowing skateboarding, it's actually understanding marketing. And I will say there are a lot of skateboarders that are very entrepreneurial and sort of take what they find from skateboarding and take it to other places, whether it be real estate or things outside of skateboarding. So skateboarding itself is a very unstructured environment. There's no like rule book. You get better at it by your own etiquette essentially. So I think this can be problematic when you're going into a more structured, disciplined environment, whether it be a role at a skate brand, you're behind the scenes. I think skaters have a hard time doing that because they just don't have the discipline of a structured environment. Now, if they're working at a skateboard company, this can make them pretty resentful towards skateboarding or towards the company, and they might not want to skate at all. So I don't think professional skateboarders are working behind the scenes at professional skateboarding is for every professional retired, hopefully in the future, retired skateboarder. I just don't think that's realistic. We're gonna head over to the skate shop so we can talk some more about supply and demand, because I think this is an important factor when we're talking about professional skateboarders and just having tons and tons of professional product.
Typically, board companies are the brands that introduce skateboarders into the pro ranks. That hasn't really changed, but here's the deal. Teams are overloaded and have become a clear marketing ploy to the point that skaters don't get recognized unless they're outshining other skaters on the team. Beyond that, something else is hard, that personalities trump skill in skateboarding, because these types of skaters sell product regardless of the content they produce. While some skaters that kill on the board don't want to be in front of the camera and have a personality just to sell product. They want to just be able to skate and sell product based off their skills. But they are a marketing tool. Team pages on websites no longer exist. For me and other skaters, this is a good way to find out who is on who. And also a case study for skaters looking for more sponsors. Essentially, this is a skater's portfolio beyond video parts. They can use these team pages as a flex to get more sponsors or more deals, but now they don't even exist. So if we want to keep turning the best skaters professional, giving them pro boards, the demand has to keep up with that. And if no skateboarders are retiring, obviously that means there needs to be more and more demand. There needs to be more skaters. To me, a big part of skateboarding is having a local skate shop where you can meet up with people, learn about spots, roll out together, get new friends to skate with and hang out with. Like, that is the essence of skateboarding to me. I think that's like kind of the core of it. As much as the act of actually riding your skateboard, the culture really does revolve around a local skate shop. At least it was heavily influenced for me at a young age. So think about it this way in the sense of inventory. If a skate shop has a catalog, they get a new catalog from like FA or one of the cool companies, right? They turn another pro pro. So they have like 22 boards in the catalog versus 21, and that number just goes up. The skate shop then has to decide what pro boards they actually put in the shop, right? Because they can't get every single pro board. So it kind of comes down to like shops having to niche down. Like maybe they carry more FA, they carry more hockey, where like another shop would carry more primitive. But the problem that this creates is like eventually board companies are going to want to sell all their pro boards so all the pros get paid fairly, because that is a problem with skateboarding. Professional skateboarders don't get paid the way that they should. I think what could happen is like every brand would have to start selling to Target, or like big box retailers like Target. So then skaters have to go to Target to get their board because they know Target has every single product. Like they'd be able to do that. And what that does is put ski shops out of business. And that to me would be kind of, it would feel a little bit selfish. Like no pros wanted to retire, so they had to keep all their boards and they needed to go into Target. Now, obviously it is no secret that skateboarders make more money from like shoe deals, clothing, or like drinks, like corporate sponsors essentially, than boards. But the hard part with that, and just the industry standard, is that you don't turn professional without having a board sponsor that turns you professional. You get your name on a board and then you get the shoes and all the other deals. Very few skaters don't go through that process. Maybe they turn pro, they're like skate contests, or they start their own company and they turn themselves pro. But the point being, like, unless your name is on a board, it's pretty rare to be getting a shoe and all these other things, unless like you get dropped from a team or you leave a team or board company later. But the point is, most professionals, most skaters turn professional with a board sponsor. Then they get the high paying sponsors like shoe deals or things like that. So you don't really get to those big corporate deals, which are pretty hard for any skater to get without having a good board sponsor.
The question I have now for you, or for anyone, is when does a company take a professional skateboarder's name off the board so they can make more room for future professional skateboarders? I don't think you can have like 100 pro skateboarders on one team, and you can only have so many teams. For example, Darren Navarrete was part of starting Creature Skateboards back in the mid-2000s. I remember because I was around him and others at Claremont Skate Park when they started talking about rebranding Creature and relaunching Creature Skateboards. Now we are in 2022, almost 2023, and Darren still has a pro skateboard on Creature Skateboards 26 years later. Keep in mind, he had pro boards on other companies like 151 before Creature as well. The last piece of content I've seen from Darren was about a year ago, and it was titled 25 Years of the Vertical Vampire. Around the same time, Creature re-released the Darren Navarrete relic graphic. Obviously, Darren is going to attract a small group of skateboarders that appreciate vert skateboarding, right? Not only that, they're gonna appreciate the older vert skater. I'd imagine there's a lot of kids out there that don't even know who Darren Navarrete is, but love Creature. I didn't even know Tate Crew was on Creature. Apparently he's Flow. I'm not a big Tate Crew fanboy or anything like that, but my point being is like, that's a new upcoming young dude where people probably would buy that board over a Darren board. That's just my subjective opinion, because kids nowadays don't know who Darren Navarrete is. Now, the reason I bring all this up and why I use Darren as an example is because he has stakes with the company. He helped start it. I'm gonna guess he has equity in the company. That's just a guess and assumption. So finances aren't really the big issue here, but yet he still has a professional skateboarder, and I can't help but think because he can make that final decision. He decides whether he gets a board or doesn't get a board, if that's the reason he still has it and why. Maybe it's an ego thing. Maybe it's just like he doesn't want to retire, doesn't want to pass that torch, but you got to wonder why. He's got a board for so long. He can make the money. He can easily go behind the scenes and not have to worry about keeping up with the professional skateboard title. You might think that this train of thought is kind of like disrespectful to the older skaters that got us to where we are now. I would understand that, but look at Tony Hawk for an example. Tony is currently hurt and constantly trying to get back on his skateboard. He still films video parts, puts on huge demos, and is still learning new tricks. I think Tony is an example of how to continue a professional skateboard career while aging, pushing himself and not just running his career off what used to be, but what he is doing right now. The reality is, Tony could have stopped skating a long time ago and still sold skateboards with his name on it, but you can tell that's just not the type of integrity that Tony approaches skateboarding with. At the end of the day, I don't think professional skateboarders should have to retire because of their age or even their ability, but it really comes down to like, what are they doing for skateboarding? Are they improving their skateboarding, or are they improving the local skateboard community? Like, how are they contributing to skateboarding? Because if they're just taking, they're just taking. And you know, a lot of pro skaters or skaters in general think, because I did IG stories, that if you turn pro, you should just be pro till death. And I would argue that skateboarding doesn't owe you anything. I think some pro skaters think that like they deserve it, but I would say skateboarding doesn't owe you anything, and you owe skateboarding everything. And like, to have that ability to bring somebody else and get that same feeling seems like it would be more rewarding than bottling it up for yourself. The last session with Big Blue helmet. I got a custom helmet at home. Super excited. I'm gonna make a whole video about it. Super, super cool helmet. I've been waiting for it for a while. It's like, been working back and forth for like months, so that'll be in the next video or coming soon.